This is Proclaim, 30 minutes of news and information from around the Diocese of Altoona-Johnstown, and the Proclaim TV Mass live from St. John Galbert Cathedral in Johnstown at 11 a.m. Proclaim is brought to you by the Independent Catholic Foundation, UPMC Altoona, and the generous support of the Catholic Ministries Drive.
Beautiful music at a beautiful church as our Organist of the Month series continues. Good morning and welcome to Proclaim for Sunday, February 15th, 2026. I'm Tony DeGaulle. More on that later, but first, ready or not, this Wednesday, February 18th, is Ash Wednesday, the beginning of our 40-day Lenten journey. Once again this year, Proclaim is encouraging local Catholics to have what we call a life-changing Lent, one in which the faithful grow closer to Christ, especially through the three pillars of Lent: prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. Father Michael Pleva is the pastor of St. Joseph Parish in Bellwood and St. Matthew Parish in Tyrone. I joined him the other day at St. Joseph to help you get ready for this sacred season. So here we go. The season of Lent is just days away, and I'm here with Father Mike Pleva here at beautiful St. Joseph Parish in Bellwood. Father, thanks for sitting down with me and chatting about this important season coming up.
Yeah, sure.
And, I always say Lent is really a gift from the Catholic Church. Every year we have this opportunity, these 40 days to grow closer to Jesus Christ. Talk to us about why the season of Lent matters for Catholics.
Sure. Well, the season really matters for Catholics because it's a time when we take the focus off of ourselves and focus on God. So we journey through the desert. Some people say it's a very somber time. However, I look at it as a time of opportunity, to grow closer in our communication with God through daily prayer, through fasting, emptying ourselves out, being poor in spirit, and doing acts of charity during this time really gets us closer to God our Father.
I love what you just said about, it kind of takes the focus off ourselves. And I think we're all guilty, no matter how good a Catholic we are. We're so caught up in our own world, in our own ups and downs, and we sometimes forget that there are others around us. And of course, we sometimes forget that Jesus Christ is always the way, the truth, and the life. So Lent is a good reminder for us. When we think of Lent, we think of the three pillars: prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. Talk about the significance of those.
Yeah, sure. These are the three most important pillars in Lent. Prayer is that daily communication with Jesus, who is our best friend. So it could be a time and an opportunity to grow closer in our prayer life with him. Fasting is emptying ourselves out, being masters of ourselves so we don't overindulge. We empty ourselves out and be filled with God in his presence as we walk this journey of Lent. Mm-hmm. And almsgiving is not just simply, writing out a $50 check to a food bank. It's, accompanying people, putting a gospel value into practice. For an example, charity. Maybe some people need more patience.
Right.
I need that, so
we all do.
So it's more than just, it's exercising a Christian value of charity.
Right. We think of Lent often, so many people give up candy or a dessert or whatever. And, they often say, well, I'll give it up. That's fine. But am I really a better person for it? But we have to remember it's not so much about the candy or the dessert or whatever vice we're giving up. We're proving to ourselves and to the Lord that God is more important than that piece of chocolate or that piece of pie.
Sure.
Right?
Yes, I totally agree. And, I know many people that give up candy and sweets, but then whenever Easter Sunday comes, they just gorge themselves on Easter Sunday. So what was the purpose? What was the focus of it? So I'm not saying giving up stuff is bad.
Right.
What is the intention? Can I master my need for these certain things?
Yeah, no, that's very important. So we give something up. We encourage people to do that. But we encourage people to do something. So take advantage of this time to really put yourself out there, grow closer to Christ by immersing yourself in the glory of these 40 days. When I was young, you and I both went to Catholic school. Mm-hmm. When I thought of Lent as a youngster, I always saw it as a very somber time. Now as an adult, I welcome this opportunity because I immerse myself in it, and I feel at the end, I do heighten my relationship with Jesus.
And that's exactly what the whole purpose is,
Right.
Tony. I mean, you just said it. It's to have that, the joy of the resurrection becomes fuller whenever we have, entered into a deep relationship with God through this time. So we become more joyful at Easter. We're welcoming the risen Christ in our lives, and then we share the resurrection with others.
Right. One of the things that I often think of when I think of Lent, it's Stations of the Cross. I love praying the stations. Of course, we can pray the stations anytime during the year, but they are really a focus of Lent. Most parishes pray the stations as a community once a week, typically on Fridays. And I think it's a beautiful way to mark Lent. Talk about the significance of Stations of the Cross, and then we're going to talk about these stations. But talk in general about the significance of stations.
Well, the Stations of the Cross, first of all, it can be a sacrifice for some people, right? Sometimes they're late they're 7 o'clock on a Friday after a long weekday, So there's that sacrificial nature there, but also we enter into Calvary. We walk with the Lord and meditate upon everything that he did for us. So our focus is on the power of the passion of the Lord. How many times he fell, what he did to save us. So it's a really, really important devotion in the Catholic Church.
No better way to unite yourself with Christ and his suffering.
You're right, yes. And parishes always have a rotation of different stations as well that give a different theological point in each of them, and they're beautiful.
Right. And speaking of which, we have this here, the Way of the Cross for vocations. This is something that you are praying here at your parish at St. Joseph in Bellwood, and you're also the pastor of St. Matthew in Tyrone. Talk about these Stations of the Cross.
Sure. So there was a parishioner myself, we composed this as a way to pray for vocations as we walk the journey of Calvary with the Lord. So each of the station has, a focus on and a prayer for a young man considering a call to the priesthood. So for an example, when Jesus falls the first time, we fall in our lives as faithful people, and where do we turn most of the time? We turn to a priest, right? We turn to the sacrament of confession. So we pray for more vocations to the priesthood so the sacrament of confession can be readily available to those who have fallen, just for an example. So our focus was how can we incorporate a prayer for vocations for each station of the cross. And I think people really enjoy this.
Well, what a beautiful idea. And I think it comes at a time right now in our diocese, of course you know this, we've been working with the Called by Name campaign. Last fall, we invited parishioners all throughout the diocese to submit the names of faithful young men who may exhibit the qualities of the priesthood. And Bishop Mark is going to be meeting with many of those men. We received well over 440 names. So throughout Lent, Bishop will be meeting with many of these men whose names were submitted. So what an appropriate time for you to be praying these as we step up our efforts to attract more men to the priesthood. This is very timely.
Yes, yeah. And it was just by God's grace, because we composed this before that Call by Name initiative. So but we'll be praying them more often now, for vocations.
Well, beautifully done. Congratulations
Thank
to you and your fellow parishioner
Thank
who worked on this so diligently. Father, in our remaining moment here, again, Ash Wednesday just days away, it is time for people to get serious about the season of Lent, what they're going to do. And I'm sure there are many people who are very faithful Catholics. They are at Mass every weekend, maybe during the week. They have a good prayer life. But no matter where you are in your faith journey, it's important to take Lent seriously, as we've been discussing. Give us a tip or two or three. What would you tell your parishioners? What will you be telling your parishioners in these days leading up to Lent to make the most of this opportunity?
Sure. I mean, even if you are, a great Catholic, there's still an opportunity to do more. It's not that what you're doing is not good enough, but we can always exercise more in our spiritual lives. So what I would say is, start to think about what are the things maybe I need to do for others in charity. What gospel value do I need to strengthen? Maybe, for an example, patience, like we talked about. Or how can I accompany someone on their faith journey during these 40 days? A lot of people need prayer. A lot of people need presence. How about the ill and the homebound? Those kind of, people that maybe have nobody. So this is an opportunity to think about, okay, what do I need to do to further my relationship with God first? And then second, how can I serve? Kind of be invisible and allow God to be at the center of my life so that whenever I encounter people, they see Jesus through me. That's where I would go.
The point is, no matter what you do something. Don't miss this opportunity.
No.
Can't stress that enough.
You can't.
Father Pleva, what a pleasure being here with you at St. Joseph. I know you're doing a great job here and at St. Matthew in Tyrone, and you got your great school in Tyrone.
Yes.
Give my best to the kids and all your parishioners. Thank you for being a wonderful priest in our diocese. We are blessed to have you.
Well, it's an honor. Thank you.
And I wish you a very blessed Lent.
You too. Thank you.
Always love chatting with Father Pleva. Again, this Wednesday is Ash Wednesday. It's not a holy day of obligation, but Catholics are encouraged to attend Mass and receive ashes, which, of course, are a sign of our mortality and humility and a symbol of repentance. Bishop Mark will celebrate the noon Mass on Ash Wednesday at the Cathedral of the Blessed Sacrament in Altoona. I invited all parishes in the diocese to submit their Ash Wednesday Mass schedules to me, and many of them took me up on the offer. You can find those schedules on our diocesan website and Facebook page, along with schedules for Stations of the Cross, communal penance services, and fish lunches and dinners. To accompany you on your journey through a life-changing Lent, the Very Reverend John Burns, rector of the Basilica of St. Michael the Archangel and judicial vicar for the Diocese of Altoona-Johnstown, will offer weekly reflections here on Proclaim each Sunday throughout the season, beginning next Sunday, the first Sunday of Lent. And as we prepare for the season of Lent, a local faith community is getting ready for a solemn and beautiful Lenten tradition. St. Clement Parish in Johnstown is once again praying the Way of the Cross Shadow Stations this Friday, February 20th at 6:30 p.m. All are welcome. Live portrayers will transport the faithful to Jerusalem for a mini pilgrimage reflecting on Christ's passion and death. Again, this Friday at 6:30 at St. Clement. Portrayers will also pray the Shadow Stations on March 1st at 2 at the All Saints Parish Boswell Activity Center on Center Street. Meanwhile, there are many other opportunities for spiritual enrichment this Lent at parishes and other faith communities, so mark your calendar. The annual Infant of Prague Novena is happening at St. Andrew Parish in Johnstown March 1st through the 9th, with Masses on the weekends at 4 p.m. and weeknights at 6:30. The Basilica of St. Michael the Archangel in Loretto will be the site of the annual Lenten mission in honor of Our Lady of Loretto, March 15th through the 19th. Capuchin Franciscan priest Father John Petrokovic, seen here, will be the mission director. Also, the St. Patrick Triduum is happening at St. Patrick Parish in Johnstown, March 15th, 16th, and 17th at 7 o'clock each night. The 61st annual Novena in honor of the Most Sacred Heart of Jesus is scheduled for March 16th through the 24th at Sacred Heart Parish in Altoona. And St. John Galbert Cathedral in Johnstown will host the annual St. Joseph Triduum March 18th through the 20th at 7 each night. Meanwhile, Holy Name Parish in Ebensburg will welcome Jaden O'Brien to lead a Lenten parish mission on March 20th at 7. O'Brien is one of the most decorated athletes in Notre Dame University history, and she's a current Olympic bobsledder. Also, acclaimed Catholic author, speaker, and podcaster Matt Fradd is coming to Penn State Catholic Campus Ministry on March 16th at 7 at the Pascarella Spiritual Center on the Penn State campus. It's free and open to the public. Just some of the great spiritual opportunities happening in our diocese this Lent. Stay tuned for the Proclaim TV Mass from St. John Galbert Cathedral in Johnstown, live at 11 here on WATM ABC 23. Well, as you probably know, this year the Diocese of Altoona-Johnstown is celebrating its 125th anniversary. On diocesan social media, we're marking the occasion with 125 days of memories. Each day leading up to the diocese's actual anniversary on May 27th will highlight photos like these of parish faith communities and more from over the years. Like and follow the Diocese of Altoona-Johnstown on Facebook and Instagram and stroll down memory lane with us each day. Meanwhile, various special events are happening in the diocese this year to celebrate the anniversary, including a special opportunity for all of the faithful. Joining me with more is Diocesan Coordinator of Youth Ministry and Religious Education, Francine Swope. Hello, Francine.
Hello, Tony.
Always good to see you, especially when we're looking forward to such a special event during this special year. You're working on a diocesan family conference. Tell us about it.
Yeah, we're really excited to start getting this word out. It's already been put out a little bit of the save the date. Get this date on your calendar so that you know you can participate in this conference. It's going to be that celebration, you know, when you have an anniversary in the family, what do? You celebrate. So it's going to be bringing all the faithful from all across the diocese together into one setting to have a day which will replace like junior high, senior high, men's conference, women's conference. It'll be a celebration, a gathering together to grow spiritually and to get to know other people from across the diocese during this day together. So it's just going to be something like we've never had before that we're really excited to be able to put together for the people of the diocese.
Yeah, as you said, it's going to replace the typical conferences we have in a given year. And although we're calling it a family conference, it's not just about mom, dad, and the kids. We are a family of faith, so it's open to everyone. And I think everyone can come and enrich their faith journey. What do you have in store for this conference?
Well, the family will all gather. We will obviously, part of the day will be liturgy with with our bishop. And then we'll have keynotes to kind of get us all in a place where we're here together to celebrate. Uplifting keynote to really just talk to everyone in one setting about the day itself and what it means for us going forward, but also just to put us in a place of what it means to be part of this church. And then, like you would if you were going to the women's conference or men's conference, you'll go off to the breakout session that meets the needs that you picked. We'll have stuff for the young people. There'll be different breakout tracks for the young people in lieu of our events that we have. There'll be things for singles, widows, family. If a whole family wants to go and learn how to pray together, there'll be something there. So the whole idea is you'll come there and you'll start off together, then you'll go off, and then, you know, we'll also bring you back, like the families and everything. People can gather together throughout the day to have lunch. There'll be an opportunity for adoration. We'll have a chapel that's open the whole time that you can go in there and pray, go in there for adoration. And then we'll have another, you know, series of breakouts for the adults. The kids will go back to the youth part. And then we'll end our day with just what does this mean for us? You know, you never want to come out of something without a plan. So it'll be a plan of how's this going to carry forward as our family? How are we going to continue to celebrate the wonderful things that we have in this diocese?
Sounds like it's a good balance between celebrating who we are as a faith family over 125 years, but also nourishing us for the future as we move forward, looking ahead to the next 125 years. So something for everyone, you know, as you said, you know, if you typically go to the men's or women's conferences, you're still going to have like a mini version of that within. Many great opportunities for our young children. The date for this, it's still a ways away, but we want to get it on people's calendars, September 19th.
Yep, it's a Saturday. It will be, you know, a good part of the day. We're still kind of working on the events of the day to get an exact time, but it will be the good part of the day because you want to spend the time together. You don't just want to dash in and dash out. You want to spend time together.
And lunch will be there. So
lunch, you'll have your lunch there, so you'll be in great, you know. And we think we're having it at Bishop Carroll Catholic High School in Evansburg, and it is a good location for us that we can be in many places. It's a beautiful campus. I love going there. I have other events there. A good place for this family to celebrate.
Yeah. Bishop Carroll is a wonderful environment, and it'll give us that room to break out, you know, not being all in one auditorium. So that's great. So again, Saturday, September 19th at Bishop Carroll. It's early, but I know you're busy planning. You're working on keynote speakers and other speakers. Music, I think, will be a big part of the day as well.
Music will be a big part of the day as well. And we're going to be looking at different kinds of music as part of this celebration so that people get exposed. You know, they don't really think about music as part of this celebration, but for us, we want them to hear some different musicians and to hear some different music. So that'll be another nice part of this day.
Well, like any anniversary celebration, you have to have good music. Absolutely. And I know that, you're still, as you've been mentioning, in the early stages of planning this, but you are looking for a little feedback from the faithful. Talk about that.
Well, we want this to be what the people, need and want. So if you have any ideas of things you'd like to see at this conference, they're welcome to reach out to me. But we're also looking, since this is a diocesan conference, if people want to help from around the diocese, we definitely are looking. We've begun to gather teams and groups, and there'll be different subcommittees and committees to do things. So we definitely would welcome any help if this is something they would like to help us with from whatever region of the diocese they're in.
Yeah, that makes sense, because we're doing this for the faithful. We don't do it just for ourselves. We want them to be enriched by this. So we're hoping to hear some good feedback and suggestions from them. It's not unusual for dioceses to have events like this, but we really want to, make it clear to people, we want folks to be part of this and to come on that day. So what is your message to, put this on your calendar, make it a priority? We know people are busy, especially in the fall, but what is your advice for people as far as really making this a priority and being part of this in September?
Well, we're all called, just by who we are, to continue to grow spiritually. And this is definitely going to give you that opportunity to grow in your faith, but to do it within the church. The church is a very big part of who we are. And so if you come as a family or you come as an individual, you are going to walk away with an experience, a very good experience that will help you move through your spiritual life. And isn't that what we should be doing for each other, is accompanying each other? That's the buzzword right now. And we want to accompany you on this continuing journey of a celebration of our anniversary.
Our mission as a church is to proclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ, and that's what this is all about. We're proclaiming the gospel message, and we're nourishing people and feeding them spiritually and making them proud to be Catholic, because it is a great gift in our lives. Well, again, Saturday, September 19th, still a ways away, but put that date on your calendar.
Put your date, put a star, circle, whatever. Just please plan to join us, and you will not regret spending that day at our celebration.
And we'll share more information as time goes on.
This is only the top. We're just at the top.
This is the save the date.
Save the
Absolutely. And as if this isn't enough, I know it's that time of year, you're also getting ready for the wonderful Camp Zacchaeus, the great tradition in our diocese. What's in store this summer?
It's funny because I'm juggling both of these, but for me, I can see a similarity of what I'm going to tie into our summer. I'm already hearing from a lot of parents who are already signing their kids up. I'm hearing from my staff, about coming back. And so it just, again, when we gather these young people at camp, it's again gathering faithful of the diocese together to celebrate their faith. So again, we've got some great things planned. I don't let too much out ahead of time, but we've got a great summer program, and I'm extremely excited about it as well. So we've got two great things that I really am looking forward to in the coming months, getting ready for.
Well, Camp Z is always a blessing in our diocese. As you know, I usually come for at least a day each year, and I'm amazed at just the spirit of faith. These are young people entering grades 4 through 9, and they are so alive in their faith, and I think they really appreciate the opportunity. And, probably even those who have never been to camp and been away from home, maybe they approach that first night with a little apprehension, but boy, do they adapt quickly, and they just love it. It's a wonderful experience. It's that perfect balance between faith and fun.
Exactly.
So we're looking forward to that. So if parents are watching, grandparents, now is the time to start thinking about registering, right?
Exactly.
What do they need to do?
Really, just anybody can reach out to me. I can send it by email, in fact. Just my first initial F, my last name Swope, at dioceseaj.org. You can go into the diocesan website. We also have a brochure posted on the youth ministry website if you want to pick it up off there. But some people might have questions, and I want to make about either of these events, camp or the conference. Please reach out if you have questions. I'm more than happy to answer any that I can.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for all you do. You're a blessing to this diocesan church, and as we celebrate 125 years, contrary to popular belief, you and I haven't been here the whole 125 years, but I will say you've been here for quite a number of years, 4+ decades. You're I believe, our most
just
tenured
finished
employee.
44 years.
So you've seen a lot of what's been happening in this church over the past 4 decades, and I think you would agree with me. This is a beautiful place to be.
It is, or, I'm just so excited about all of it.
So happy anniversary.
Thank you.
And we'll look forward to hearing much more from you in the weeks and months ahead about this Diocesan Family Conference.
Great, Tony. Thanks.
Proclaim is brought to you by the Independent Catholic Foundation, UPMC Altoona, and the generous support of the Catholic Ministries Drive.
The Independent Catholic Foundation has become the largest charitable foundation in Central PA, with investments aligned according to the ethical, moral, and social teachings of the Catholic Church. Our endowments produce nearly $2 million in financial aid for local parishes, schools, ministries, and cemeteries. To learn more about the Independent Catholic Foundation, call or visit us online. Entrust your legacy with the Independent Catholic Foundation.
That does it for this edition of Proclaim for Sunday, February 15th, 2026. I'm Tony DeGaulle. Have a great week and a blessed start to the Lenten season. As we leave you today, meet our Proclaim TV Organist of the Month for February, Laura Lenz, one of the accomplished musicians at St. Demetrius Parish in Gallitzin. Laura has fond memories of growing up just down the street from the church. She's lived in Duncansville for many years, but still considers St. Demetrius Parish her home and lovingly shares her time and talent playing the organ each week at the 11 a.m. Mass and at other Masses throughout the year. Enjoy Laura's music and a look around the church, which, among other things, features some beautiful stained glass windows celebrating the legacy of the Prince Priest and Servant of God, Demetrius Gallitzin.
Thank you for watching Proclaim. Stay up to date with the latest diocesan news and information anytime by visiting the Proclaim e-news site at proclaim.dioceseaj.org. While you're there, sign up for email updates by clicking on the e-news tab in the upper right. You can also visit the Diocese of Altoona-Johnstown website at dioceseaj.org. Don't forget to like the Diocese of Altoona-Johnstown on Facebook. Stay tuned for the Proclaim TV Mass live from St. John Galbert Cathedral in Johnstown, brought to you by the Independent Catholic Foundation and the generous support of the Catholic Ministries Drive.